another edition of the NBA Slate Starter Podcast. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Ryan as we break down Thursday's 5-game NBA DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Wowzer, today there were a lot of different things that happened. Theo Maledon got there in the fourth quarter, especially on FanDuel, with 7 steals, so he ended up salvaging it there. And if you rostered Lou Dort, my apologies, that's not going to be fun. Kind of a bad break there. Fortunately, I was on Hamidou Diallo, and he was kind of the guy who stood out of the pack. But I guess Theo on FanDuel, what can you say? 7 steals. Talk to me about this OKC Houston game that was kind of the emphasis of this slate, and then we'll go forward.
Yeah, seeing some of the top lineups, the way things stand right now, it seems like you need a Diallo, Darius Baisley, and some lineups even have Theo Maledon on FanDuel, especially because 7 stocks will definitely help whoever you are, especially on that FanDuel steals and blocks, beneficial scoring over there. But outside of that, the late night hammer is going to play a key part in tonight, I believe. One of the Celtics guys versus Sacramento seems like they're in a great spot. We'll see if one of those guys get there and bring those lineups to the top.
I'm hoping it's Harrison Barnes. Just throwing that out there. Go to the bottom bar. Let us know if Harrison Barnes went off. I think this is starting to be fun, except for when it's not, because Steph Curry did go off. Now I'm just trying to talk it into existence. Harrison Barnes, please go off. Anywho, we are going to go position by position like we always do. But before we get started, get down to that bottom bar, hit subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all the other content at Awesemo is going live. Let's get to it. You ready to go, Rinpack?
That's right.
Party. Sitting at the top end of point guard, we're going to start over on FanDuel today because we're trying to keep it equal. So Luka Doncic, 11,300, coming off of a great game. He's currently leading the entire slate in raw points right now, 62.6 that he put up against Atlanta today. Now getting another pretty decent matchup against Steph Curry and these Golden State Warriors. So sitting at 11,300, hard not to have interest there if you can afford him and get up to him on this slate. 10,500 is Trae Young, which is just still such a large price. He had been consistent, little off today. Not a great outing, not a great performance up against Doncic, but now gets to face Atlanta. That's not going to be very much fun either, but that's just kind of a big tag for Trae Young. We'll see. He might be a low owned tournament pivot for tomorrow. And then Steph Curry, 9,900, facing Dallas, facing Luka Doncic. We just saw him hurt my feelings the other night, so there's that. And then Damian Lillard is kind of like the big injury news that sits on this slate currently for me. He's questionable. He is a gamer. He's somebody who will try to get up and play, but that would open up a crazy amount of value for Portland, albeit against Philadelphia. Talk to me about the top end of point guard.
Yeah, so Luka Doncic, obviously against this Golden State matchup, Luka should crush, honestly. But Porzingis might not play due to back-to-back. He did sit out the previous back-to-back, 11-3. Seems like an expensive Luka tag, but there's we saw his ceiling today, and he can definitely find his way there to pay off the price tag. Also, Damian Lillard, $9,600 versus on DraftKings, I believe he's $10,400. Only a $500 difference from Luka. Lillard goes, you're going to definitely have some interest. Obviously, all the volume in the world is there for him. He didn't cross 50 fantasy points against a favorable Washington matchup, but the minutes are there. His shot volume is there, and I think Lillard at $9,600 might be more preferable than Luka right now because of the savings. It's a shorter slate. Maybe there's some other sets to pay up for. Keep in mind of that. But Ben Simmons against this terrible Portland defense, definitely. Why not? I mean, we've seen Simmons now consistently shoot over double-digit shot attempts, which wasn't happening earlier in the year. Simmons at $8,700. I like that price tag quite a bit. On the other side of the Dallas game, Steph Curry showed who he was, former MVP, put on those MVP shoes again, coming off a 69 fantasy point game against Dallas. I'm going to like Curry on $9,800 on DraftKings as well, especially when we get the 3-point bonus. I think that's a great option. Simmons is $8,300 over there. Definitely someone we can consider as a pivot off of all these higher priced options. LeBron James is actually, I believe, probable against Denver. So I like LeBron James against Denver, obviously a match of last year's Western Conference Finals. It's going to be fun to see how these two teams go at it again. It'll be LeBron at 10K. Obviously, a triple-double is definitely on the table for him. John Wall should be returning, and while as Victor Oladipo is the one who will be resting. Wall has only played 30 minutes, north of 30 minutes once over the last few games. It's usually been around the mid-20s. We'll see. With that minutes limit, it makes it tough for me to be really excited about John Wall. But with no Oladipo, there's definitely an upside for him to get there at $7,500. On the other side of things, I think Ja Morant makes for an interesting option just because he's been so cold in the late of not paying off his salary. Morant, we know his upside. We've seen it all throughout last year. We saw it in the earlier part of this year before that ankle injury. Maybe there's some cause of concern. Maybe he came back a little too early from that ankle injury. So keep in mind there. Low price options on FanDuel. Monte Morris, $3,900. It's a tough LA matchup, but that's a nice salary saver over there. Over there at DraftKings, Monte Morris is $4,200. I think that makes for an exciting price point. Jalen Brunson's 4K. I think that's a pivot off of Monte Morris that we should consider on DraftKings. Brunson's also 4K on FanDuel. How do you feel about Morris and Brunson in the paydown option for a roster construction?
ISU. You're never going to hear me not like Monty Morris for who he is. Again, he's basic. He'll play 24 minutes. He'll put up 22, 24 fantasy points. So at 3,900 on FanDuel, I like the tag there. DraftKings harder to get to. You would have to really, even at 4,200, do something to get on top of it a little bit on a 5-gamer. If it were a 2-gamer, sure, but a little bit tougher for me to get to on DraftKings. Keep in mind Damian Lillard, if he does sit, Anthony Simons is coming off of a just absolute dud. Only played 14 minutes. He was very, very popular still. A lot of people were kind of going to him there, but at 4,600, his price still went up on DraftKings. So he still went up $300, but I wouldn't care. I would have a ton of interest even against Philly should he be the guy that has to be relied on to start at point guard, which I assume he would be with Lillard and McCollum out in that event. Gary Trent, 6,200, would maybe take over a little bit of the offense, but for the most part, Simons, 4,600 on DraftKings, and then I believe 4,400 over on FanDuel. I would have a ton of interest in there. Otherwise, we talk about it a lot. It's so hard to pay down some of these spots on point guard, unless, of course, it's Tio Maledon, in which case it's a guarantee to go off, so then just play him, I guess. Anybody else that you're looking at here? Because I don't see a heck of a lot that I want to play.
Yeah, it's a shorter slate, obviously. There's some studs that we can consider, but I think we should hop on over to the shooting guard position.
Let's party. Sitting on the top end of shooting guard, we'll start over on DraftKings. Victor Oladipo, 8K. This whole Houston team decided not to play basketball tonight against OKC on the second half of their home and home. I mean, have you ever seen like 2 games for a home and home that were like so lopsided? I mean, the first one was an absolute shellacking by Houston. The next one, OKC just took it to Houston tonight. So now they're going to go to Memphis and in that matchup, again, I'm happy to go back to some of these Houston guys. Definitely pay attention to that news on John Wall. We'll see kind of how all of that ends up panning out for him, and if he ends up playing. But otherwise, Oladipo, 8K, he can still get on top of that over on DraftKings. Donovan Mitchell, 7,800 in this Atlanta matchup. I expect him to garner quite a bit of ownership at that price. He's still kind of coming down there. Utah's been playing fantastic basketball of late. He's coming off of a 35-minute, 44.5 fantasy point outing over on DraftKings the other night. 7,800 is a great price tag in this matchup. And then Andrew Wiggins, 6,500, facing up against Dallas. Kind of like been sitting in that price range. He's just not enticing by any means. Shooting guard is actually kind of gross for the most part on DraftKings tomorrow. You want to try to figure it out for me?
Yeah, so Oladipo, I don't expect him to play on this back-to-back, so I think we don't have to worry about him going to him and getting burned potentially. But I think Donovan Mitchell against Atlanta, $7,800. Mitchell had 2 games that he was disappointing, but he bounced back against Detroit, and it feels like everyone bounces back against Detroit. But now playing an Atlanta team that's on a back-to-back, nothing about their defense really scares me. I think Mitchell seems someone that we should be targeting over there in FanDuel, $7,800. Other options to consider, I think Andrew Wiggins, $6,800. Seems like someone who has an up and down in his performances of late, mainly down. But Wiggins feels always pretty safe in a matchup that's going to be close, barring any foul trouble, to get mid to high 30 minutes. And I think those minutes are really important on a slate like this. I prefer spending those $100 compared to a $6,300 Gary Trent. Wow, Gary Trent is $6,300. What a time. Some pay down options. Seth Curry, $3,800, playing his former team. Curry gets minutes. He's just not been taking many shots, not been hitting many shots. He has not crossed 20 fantasy points in the last 5 games. So maybe he's dealing with the COVID fog. I'm not too sure. So it's been a while since he's been cleared and whatnot, but maybe that's something that we need to target. Maybe bounces back against his former team. $4,600 on DK. It seems a little bit more expensive. Brunson has shooting guard eligibility as well. Shake Milton did get banged up earlier in the game, did leave, but in a short slate like this, I think you might have to consider him in GPPs as someone that you can take sprinkle him in some lineups. Now, someone who everyone got burned by the other night with the health protocol cancellation of the Denver game, Will Barton is $5,200 on DraftKings. It's a tough Lakers matchup. Obviously, Barton did not participate in the NBA bubble due to the injury. I'm sure he is going to get an extra share of minutes. Obviously, no Gary Harris, no PJ Dozier over there. $5,200 against a tough LA matchup. I'm hesitant. I do think he's going to garner some ownership. I don't like playing guys against the Lakers. It's kind of a statement game for both teams, so we'll really see how he ends up performing. Pivot off of some popular guys on FanDuel. There's a whole range with Josh Richardson, Kevin Huerter, Tim Hardaway Jr., Jordan Clarkson. It's tough to pinpoint who. And Dylan Brooks falls in that range. It's a tough range to really have confidence in with those guys. How do you feel about that range of Richardson, Huerter, Hardaway Jr., Clarkson on FanDuel? Because we have to roster too.
So I loved Kevin Huerter. He was probably my favorite tournament play today. And it wasn't a hindsight thing. It was purely a minutes thing. He played 39 minutes last game, and then he played 38 today. And I kind of expected it to be that. I expect it to be that tomorrow. I know 5,500 looks like sticker shock, but he was like 0.6% owned. Obviously, he's going to be much higher owned than that on a 5-gamer as opposed to today's 10-gamer. But I still have interest even at 5,500 because of those minutes in general. You just basically put rates next to minutes, and like I don't expect him to be a full point per minute guy, but like, you know, he can knock down threes and spike an upside at any given moment. So definitely interest over on DraftKings at 5,500 still, and I expect it to like ownership to be there. He will be really, really popular over on FanDuel now tomorrow at 4,500. So I do like getting up to Josh Richardson at 4,900, who has looked pretty darn good. But again, I think he'll be owned too. This bottom range of shooting guard actually looks a lot better for me than some of these top name options, and you're going to be punting a lot of it by default because if you lose out Oladipo on FanDuel at 8,200, your highest priced shooting guard is Donovan Mitchell at 7,800. So he'll be popular. Punting this position will be popular. Enjoy and best of luck. Any tournament pivots off of those guys to finish out the position?
No, it's tough. They all feel like tournament pivots in my book. So just because of how inconsistent they can be,
this
but I think we should go.
This is true.
We should hop on over to the small forward position.
Yeah, I guess one shout out to Rodney Hood at 4K, who I thought was like a smash. 35 minutes he played the last time out. We'll see kind of how all those Portland injuries shake out. Hard to really talk about that the night before. So just want to let it be known, 4K Rodney Hood looks pretty good over there on FanDuel too. Let's go to the top end to small forward. Before we do, NBA packages are starting at $4.95 over at Awesemo. All you have to do is go to awesemo.com/join-NBA. Take a look at all of the things. Again, these game plan videos are just awesome. I think we have Steve Buzzard to Colts doing the one tomorrow. Alex Baker just crushing those every single day. If you want to see process, if you want to like learn how to make lineups as opposed to just be told who to play all the time, again, we love to do that. We'll try to give you the goods we can every single day. But like these guys, between Rinpack, between Alex Baker, between everybody, Adam Scherer, like they put their money where their mouth is, and they just know how to make good lineups. And so if you want to do it yourself, get to those game plan videos to watch these guys in action. It is just an absolute blast. So check those out. Check out the projections, the boom bust tool, which is just like a part of my process every single day. Look at the leverage scores. Look at where you can get advantages in these large field GPPs that we all want to win, but they're difficult to win. So if you want to have a better chance, get over to awesemo.com/join-NBA and stop guessing and start winning. Let's go to the top end of small forward over on FanDuel. LeBron James is 10,700. So LeBron James, he's going to play. It seems like every single one of these. He's going to be questionable or probable all year, and we're just going to have to deal with it. It's like a Scarlet A or something. I don't know. It's a Scarlet Q, if you will. So 10,700. Tobias Harris sitting at 7,900. So there is a big jump again from the position from the top end of LeBron down to Tobias Harris at 7,900. I think that by default on FanDuel raises the ownership of the guy who's sitting at that top tier. So be excited for that. So if you don't play LeBron, you're going to be different tomorrow more than likely. Tobias Harris 7,900. DeAndre Hunter out still. Kyle Anderson 6K. So man, this possession is spread out too. I mean, it's going to be hard to spend all of your salary over on FanDuel at shooting guard and small forward. Why don't you just like take it from here?
So yeah, on FanDuel, raw points definitely matter quite a bit, and LeBron James obviously leads the way there out of projection. And think we need to be considering him paying up in certain spots. Now, paying down will be very popular where you just don't think LeBron has a good game against Denver. That's the one narrative if you want to, in a slate scripting wise, in terms of like thinking of what the slate might happen. LeBron doesn't have a good game. There's merit to paying down to options like Tobias Harris and Kelly Oubre Jr. 7,900 for Tobias Harris against Portland. Embiid is on a back-to-back. Maybe Embiid rests. So keep that in mind. Kelly Oubre Jr., $5,300. He's one of those guys whose minutes haven't crossed 30 minutes in a long time. The last time he crossed 30 minutes was about 10 days ago. So it's been about 6 or 7 games since he's played north of 30 minutes. So which is something to keep an eye on. DeAndre Hunter is questionable. So if he plays, he's going to have to be in play just because you have to roster 2, and he'll be one way to get unique with that salary, with that price tag. I don't think people really are going to consider Kyle Anderson, DeAndre Hunter. Will Barton's also $5,200. I think he'll be quite popular, even at that salary. Obviously, a $1,200 price jump from the Monday game when he didn't play. Michael Porter Jr. is $5,500. I'm going to like that price tag. I think Porter Jr. Could potentially spike in upside. It's a tough Laker matchup. He did not play well against the Lakers in the conference finals. And obviously, Porter's a defensive liability. Toscano Anderson is $4,900. Steve Kerr had some really promising words about Toscano Anderson has earned a right in the rotation. So keep in mind of that. Over there on DraftKings, LeBron James 10K. I like that price tag for him. I think you can definitely have him as a popular play and one of your highest owned plays over there in DraftKings because of his triple-double upside. And I expect this game to somewhat stay close for LeBron. And he's coming off a 38-minute game. LeBron is someone who's willing to play a lot of minutes as well. Ben Simmons, $8,300. I think I like that price tag for where he stands right now. Gary Trent Jr., I don't like that price tag right now. $6,200 makes it really tough for me to go there, especially of how shooting dependent he has been. And that's a tough price tag. I know he's put up 41 fantasy points the other night, but it will be tough for me to go there. I would rather be willing to save some money and take some shots with a Hardaway Jr., a Bogdanovich, a Kelly Oubre Jr. by means. Some value options. Dorian Finney-Smith, $3,900. I think is a fine option against Golden State. I think he's a nice spend down option to consider as well. And any interest in going back to Eric Pascal now? $4,500, and there's one less body now. Kevon Looney is not there.
Well, I was going to say, so this Golden State situation is a good thing to talk about a little bit. Juan Toscano Anderson, it's amazing how somebody earns a right to be in the rotation, but they've played 2 games in the last 12. That he's appeared. There have been garbage time opportunities when Juan Toscano Anderson did not see the floor. So I find that ironic. But again, 26 minutes, they were kind of looking for a spark or something to happen. What I find interesting, I just pulled up his player profile. So he's 6'6". He's listed as power forward over on on DraftKings. He's 3,500 over there. So yeah, he's going to be a popular source of value if you were to if we could expect remotely 26 minutes tomorrow. But over on FanDuel, he's 4,900. That's a big number to be paying. He also, we don't really have a whole lot of certainty there. I'm having a tough time really processing what to do there. I guess we'll have to see what that starting lineup ends up being. Pascal has just been so bad, and I wasn't really there. I was definitely below the field the other night, but that was just basically an ownership reason, and he had every opportunity to get there. I mean, you had Looney get hurt right off the bat, and I thought he would get there at that point, and he still didn't. It just looks like he's passive. He's not really going right now, but God, I mean, what else are you going to do? I mean, small forward is just so gross. I'm trying to figure out where else I would even want to go over on DraftKings. I mean, Dorian Finney-Smith, 3,900 should be in play. Played 29 minutes tonight. I could definitely have some shares of him there, but Will Barton, 5,200. He did burn absolutely everybody. That was the worst. I would actually have interest in going against the Lakers. I will go against you. I don't like going against you. You're too good at this. So I don't want to go full bore and lean into it. But Will Barton, 5,200 on DraftKings would be a staple of my lineups just because some of these other options look a little riskier. Over on FanDuel, he's 5,200. I would definitely take him over Juan Toscano Anderson tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I like the Barton price tag quite a bit on FanDuel. And it's a tough small forward position. I think we should hop right on over to the power forward spot.
Just keep it on moving. Keep it on moving. All right, sitting at the top end on, let's go to DraftKings. So sitting on the top end there, Anthony Davis, 9,700. We all know Rayen Patnaik's feelings on Anthony Davis. Go over the field on Anthony Davis. He'll go off eventually. One problem, it hasn't really panned out that way yet. We have 0 games that I'm looking at in the box log that say 60, and that's kind of what you want to be getting out of a dude who's 9,700 at some point, but it's Anthony Davis. We know what he's capable of in any spot, so hopefully this game's competitive and he can just obliterate Paul Millsap. That would be fun. So 9,700 for him. Kristaps Porzingis, 7,700 over on DraftKings. Beautiful little price tag for him. Definitely a great game up against Collins tonight. 44.25, him and Capella. He just made them look silly in some spots. It was a nice win by Dallas, who seem like they're starting to get their footing now that they've got Josh Richardson, Dorian Finney-Smith, all these guys back. So I am excited about. I'm a little bullish on Dallas in the markets of the betting streets, if you will. I like trying to get on the train early here now. Kristaps Porzingis 7,700 is a nice price tag there. John Collins 7,300 up against Utah. We'll see kind of how all the injury news shakes out again there, but 53.5 tonight looked fantastic. So would have no problem going there as well. And Tobias Harris, 7,200 to round out the position up top. Talk to me about the top end of power forward.
Yeah, we're there on FanDuel. AD. Exciting pay-up options. Anthony Davis, $10,300. It's expensive, especially because he has not paid off that price tag, like he said, pretty much any time this year. Only one north of 60-point fantasy game over there on FanDuel. That was against Golden State earlier in January. Now, against this Denver matchup, we know the upside with AD. I'm an AD stan. Christian Wood, $8,900 against Memphis. Against the front.
Just got you froze for a second, buddy. Hang on 1 second. It's just
froze. I think.
No, it just froze for a second. So take that back. Just to the top of power forward one more time.
Oh, okay. Anthony Davis and Christian Wood, I think, is someone we can definitely pay up for. AD's, we know what the upside is like. He hasn't really been there consistently. Christian Wood, $8,900, I think, is someone we should be considering in a front court matchup versus Xavier Tillman and Gorgui Dieng. I think he could perform really well. Not really interested in John Collins or Brandon Clark. Kind of expensive. I do think we need to consider Draymond Green a bit more. Played mid-30s minutes last time after with all those injuries. Do you think we can project Draymond Green to play low to mid-30s now consistently with no Looney, no Wiseman, at least for the next week or so?
This is the part of the conversation that I was not looking forward to. My strong Draymond Green. Again, this is not Draymond Green of 2015. This is Draymond Green now, and I know he played 36 minutes. He went 1 for 7 from the field, so there's actually room for his shooting to improve with those 11 rebounds, 7 assists he had the other night. A 2, 7, and 11 stat line is very, very impressive, actually, because it's hard to be that bad at shooting and scoring a basketball. Still got 31.75 against Boston. Now he's going to obviously be in a good spot to be able to pick up some center minutes to yeah, I guess I'm going to have to like him. 5,200. This is probably going to be the first time that I roster Draymond Green all year, so that'll be fun. Not excited about it, though. Kelly Oubre's 5,400 over on DraftKings, so maybe I'll just spend up to 200 and just pray that he runs the 5. Why not? Screw it. Just go completely small. Put Toscano Anderson at the 4 and whatever. But no, that's not going to happen. So Draymond Green's fine. Robert Covington, 5,200. I was heavy on him the other night because I just was waiting for something to happen. He kind of got there. 35.75 was a nice outing. But now that price is, sitting at 5,200 over on DraftKings. Just kind of unchanged, actually. So, yeah, I have no problems going back that direction. Happy to invest over there. But 5,600 over on FanDuel, I saw that price bump, and that did not make me excited. So that was sad. Looking around the rest of the position, there's kind of like a smattering of guys that you could have an interest in. Pascal, you brought up 4,500, has an opportunity to possibly see an increase of minutes and maybe actually get there, but obviously not a great tag for him now over there. Toscano Anderson, as I said, is 3,500 over on DraftKings, so that's kind of where I would be looking to have any shares of him to fire him up. Anybody else down here at the bottom you're looking at?
Yeah, Toscano Anderson at that price tag on DraftKings definitely is very appealing. Xavier Tillman is going to be a decision point for people. It's going to be him or Draymond in a lot of lineups where they're going to be making that decision, especially because they're the same price on DK, a couple $100 different uh, price differently on FanDuel. I think to make. Royce O'Neal has been playing well above his head, in my opinion. Put up 42 fantasy points the other night. Put up a double double. Had 4 stocks. I think I will be off Royce O'Neal. Seeing that price tag over 5K is like pretty impressive for Royce O'Neal on both sides, which is remarkable. I think Paul Millsap might be needed a little bit more. Him or JaMychal Green. It's been a little power forward roulette situation with Mike Malone, who does there, kind of rides the hot hand. We'll see who gets hot against this Lakers matchup. Maybe none of them get hot because it's such a tough one. And other potential options on DK. It's Eric Pascal 4,500, like you said. It's tough. I think Bogdanovich is 5,700. I think he might be a little low on. Michael Porter Jr.'s ownership will be virtually on a minimal because he's been so disappointing since he's been back since COVID. So we'll see. Nothing really excites me on the power forward position right now. It's a tough spot to really hone in on. Toscano Anderson is the only guy who sticks out, but I'm hesitant. If he's going to be like super popular, man, I'm going to be a little hesitant to go there, but that price tag is definitely nice. I think we should hop on over to the centers.
Let's round it out. Sitting at the top end at center, Nikola Jokic, 11,000. He's very good at basketball, but now goes up against this tough Lakers matchup. But his last two, 77.5, 61. That's pretty fun to see out of Nikola Jokic, doing everything for this team. Great on offense, great on defense. You should roster him if we can fit him. Like, we'll see what the value ends up being. If it's just Toscano Anderson, let's have fun. Joel Embiid, 10,200. I don't get why people just aren't rostering this cat. Like, he was like under 10% on DraftKings today in so many different tournaments. He carries a crazy amount of upside. He was just 10K today. I guess he's now up to 10,200 like on DraftKings. Like, fire him up against Portland, against Enes Kanter. Good luck, buddy. Have fun. Anthony Davis, 9,700, center eligible. Christian Wood, 8,800 against this Memphis team with Oladipo off the floor, or, seeing how Wall ends up coming back or whatever the situation would be. Christian Wood could definitely still spike an upside. And 8,700, Clint Capella, who is starting to come back down to earth and just play around 30 minutes. So tough to get to him at 8,700 on DraftKings. Tell me who you prefer up top.
Yeah, obviously Jokic, Embiid are great pay-up options. I think I'm going to prefer Embiid because it's much more favorable matchup for him. 10-2, which is very nice. And if Embiid is going to go against a Enes Kanter defense, I think we can definitely expect him to play really well against this matchup. Other center options, Enes Kanter on the other side versus Embiid. He has kind of had moments against Embiid in the past when given the minutes, but we know what Kanter can do. He's a great rebounder. He can find a way to get there. I know it's a tough matchup. He just has to stay out of foul trouble. Now, if Porzingis doesn't play, Willie Cauley-Stein playing his former team in Golden State, I think is someone as a pay down option to consider to pay up elsewhere. I like that price tag if Porzingis is out. And I think Gorgie Jang, $5,300 is a tough price tag to really pay up for. I think Harrell being a pivot off of him makes a lot more sense. Capella is $8,800 and Gobert is $8,500. I think we prefer the Gobert side of things over there on FanDuel. And on DK, Gobert $7,500. I like that price tag for Gobert quite a bit. And Cauley-Stein is $4,100. If Cauley-Stein's going to start, I think we can definitely be really high on Cauley-Stein. And Harrell's $5,300 against Denver. I think Montrezl Harrell could be a nice, potentially low-owned option in the center position. Other centers to consider, it's very exciting to pay up for Embiid at 10-2 if he's going to play on this back-to-back. And I think paying down, I really don't have much interest going any lower than Kanter or Harrell. It's tough to go down to anyone else on the center position because of how high-scoring Jokic and Embiid could be, and you could really be buried if you don't have one of those two guys.
I'll throw one guy out just because, I like sometimes finding like the Nerlens Noel type play where it's a high point per minute guy and a foul trouble, basically because center, you're seeing like two guys. You have somebody who directly backs them up. I think Derek Favors at 3,600 over on DraftKings makes sense as like a leverage spot against Gobert, somebody that could possibly spike an upside. You've only seen 19 minutes the last two, only 21.5, but that's not going to kill you at 3,600. If somehow Gobert were to get in foul trouble, or if we were to somehow see a blowout, or a number of scenarios, if those minutes could get to like 22, 23, 24 somehow, you'd look at a situation where Favors could put up 30, 35. And so that's something I try to find like a couple of shots to do, not something to get like crazy with or to like make in your single entry, but if you're making a bunch of lineups, I would definitely have maybe a little bit of exposure to him on the bottom end. I also see 3,300 Marc Gasol, who put it in 17 minutes, put up 17.5 against Denver, against Jokic. I could see defensively like them matching up a little bit more, maybe getting a little bit more run than normal. So like I'm thinking 3,300 Marc Gasol I might actually have a tiny bit of interest in too on DraftKings. This is specifically DraftKings where you can play two centers. Tougher to make them your sole center play over on FanDuel.
Yeah, it's definitely DraftKings play for sure. And I think another guy to consider if you were to start is Dwight Powell, $3,100 in Dallas, especially if Porzingis is going to be ruled out on this back-to-back.
Love it. Yeah, he played the 17th, 18th back-to-back of January, but I think he sat out a couple of them. I would not be shocked either way. So I would lean on him probably being out too. So anything to finish out with the people?
Yeah, do leave a review on the Apple Podcast. It does mean a lot, and your support is grateful. And please do hit the like button on the way out and subscribe if you haven't. If it's your first time joining us, thanks for tuning in. And if you're continuing to listen to us, appreciate the support. It's been fantastic. We're almost nearing the halfway point of the NBA regular season. Remember, it's like 72 games this year.
So crazy. And we don't even know what the second half of the schedule looks like yet. So that's going to be fun. Into the absolute abyss with that. But loved it today. Love talking with you, my guy. We will see you guys back here on Thursday. Take it easy.